Do you have a crappy stock portfolio? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys 8 steps that if you do have a really underperforming stock portfolio, how you can go ahead and fix it. I cannot wait to share this with you guys today. Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is a financial education channel, and today we're talking about how do you fix a crappy stock market portfolio, guys. We've all been there if you've been investing long enough to have a portfolio that's you're not too happy about. So today I'm going to give you guys basically 8 steps I would go through if I were you to kind of fix that portfolio into becoming a great portfolio. Thank you so much for watching this today, guys. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy it, and let's get into this. Number one thing, you have to ask yourself, is it really even a crappy portfolio? Just because, let's say, the portfolio underperformed over the last few months, just because maybe your main stock or your second stock went down a lot, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a poor portfolio. That doesn't even mean you're a bad investor. Because short-term things happen. Unless you're a short-term trader and that's what your focus is, then maybe you have something wrong there. But if something happens short term, that doesn't necessarily just mean your portfolio's bad, your stocks are bad, those kinds of things. So you have to ask yourself first, is it really even a crappy portfolio? If you're just judging off of 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, even 6 months, and you're a long-term investor, that's way too shallow-minded in my opinion. So the way I would kind of decide if a stock portfolio is crappy or not, you got to look at least the last 12 months. And in the last 12 months, did your entire stock portfolio severely underperform how much the stock market went up or went down? So if the stock market went up 20% in the last 12 months and your stock portfolio went down 20%, you got a crappy stock portfolio, because that's a huge difference there, guys. If you just underperformed a bit because a few of the main stocks, doesn't mean you have a crappy portfolio. It means maybe you just had some bad luck, some things went wrong with your companies or whatever, or maybe the perception of them by the investor community just wasn't as high. Doesn't mean you have a crappy stock portfolio. But like I said, if stock market's going up big and you're going down, or vice versa, and it's over a 12-month span, maybe an 18-month span, then you definitely have an issue with your portfolio. So then, that's step number 1. Let's assume you do have that portfolio. Let's go on to step number 2 and kind of how you go out fixing this. So step number 2 is you need to figure out the one stock in that portfolio you're the most bullish on over every other stock. Just one stock. And I know these are going to be hard decisions for you, but you got to pick that just one stock that you're like if you had to stick all your money in that one stock and that was the only stock you had to invest in, that's the one stock I'm talking about. So you got to pick one stock and basically put that stock to the side. That stock just kind of going to the side for now. And we'll kind of talk about what you're going to do with that stock later on. But that stock's just going to the side for now. Then we go into step number 3. So then you're going to group half of the stocks in that portfolio into a pile called very bullish, stocks you're very bullish on, and you're going to group the other half of the stocks into a portfolio that's not as bullish as those previous stocks, as those other stocks, basically. So, and I know this is once again going to be a hard decision. Let's say you got a portfolio of 9 stocks total. So you took out one because that's the one stock you're the most bullish on over all of them. That's on the side, so that basically leaves you with 8 stocks. 4 stocks go into that very bullish pile, 4 stocks go into that not very bullish pile. The bullish pile, those stocks are kept. The ones that did not meet the criteria, those other 4 stocks, that goes into step number 4, which is sell off that part of the portfolio that's not as bullish. So you're just going to sell that off. You're going to get rid of it, because those stocks, if you're not even that bullish on them, what are you doing in them? If they didn't meet that criteria of being in that top 5, what are you even doing in them in the first place? So you need to sell off those ones, and you need to just get out. That is step number 4, and going into step number 5, now you have to assess how much in funds you actually got from those sold off stocks. Did you get $5,000, $500, $10,000? How much did you get from selling off all those stocks you weren't as bullish on? Then we go into step number 6, which is stick half of the funds you raised from selling off those not as bullish stocks. Half of the funds are going to go into that number 1 stock. Half of those funds. So whatever amount it was, half of those funds are basically going into that number one stock, because that's the one you're the most confident in, you believe in the most, the one that if you had to stick it all in a stock and you were forced to do that, that's the stock you would go into. So you want to allocate more funds into that stock, because that's your breadwinner, that's your horse. That's the one stock. If somebody was telling you, you know, I only got one stock to buy, I want to buy a stock, what should I buy? That's the stock you would tell them. So you're putting more money, you're funneling more money into that stock because that's the one you believe over all of them. So half the money from the new funds raised is going into that number one stock. Step number 7, you're basically going to put the other half of the money into the other 4 stocks you had there, or however many the ones you kept, the other half of the pile. You're going to stick that rest of that money that was raised into those other stocks. Now, how you want to distribute that amount around the stocks is really up to you and how you feel comfortable. And, you know, if you had 4 other stocks in there, maybe you want to put 3/4 of that money raised into those the 2 main stocks, and the 1/4 of the money into the bottom 2 stocks, something like that. You know, you just have to kind of decide there. And then we go into the last step, which is number 8. So if you're not if you're more bullish on a couple other stocks that maybe you don't own in your portfolio, you could use some of that money that you may have stuck into those last stocks. You could use some of that money into buying into those new stocks that you're super bullish on. But only get into those other ones if you're super bullish on them. The reason being is because there's a good chance on those stocks you're very bullish on that were already in your portfolio, if you underperform the market, there's a good chance many of those stocks are probably down on cost basis. And so if you're as bullish as you know, in one of the older stocks is one of the newer stocks, you might just want to stick more money in the older stock because that one's already down on cost basis anyway, so you can kind of lower your cost basis. And that should hopefully revive your portfolio and get you back going, because you're gonna have sold off those stocks that you aren't as bullish in. Maybe you still like them, but if they don't meet the cut, they don't meet the cut. You can bring in some new life if you feel comfortable investing in a couple new stocks that you think you're very bullish on. And you also get to lower cost basis on some of those old stocks, and you get to allocate some more money into that number one stock, which is your horse, which is the one that you believe in the most over the next few years if you're a long-term investor. So that's kind of how you can go ahead and fix a crappy stock portfolio, in my opinion. That's kind of the way I would do it. And like I said, just make sure you ask yourself first, that number one step is key. Do you even have a crappy stock portfolio? If it just went down over the last few months, it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means you had a tough couple months, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video today. Leave a thumbs up if you did. And if you just came across this channel and you have not subscribed yet, you may want to. We talk personal finance on the channel. I'm a business owner and I give a lot of my entrepreneur type tips out. And we talk the stock market the most in this channel and how to try to be a successful investor. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.
Do you have a crappy stock portfolio? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys 8 steps that if you do have a really underperforming stock portfolio, how you can go ahead and fix it. I cannot wait to share this with you guys today.
Do you have a crappy stock portfolio? Well, today I'm going to share with you guys 8 steps that if you do have a really underperforming stock portfolio, how you can go ahead and fix it. I cannot wait to share this with you guys today.